the story of Micah and the Levite. Peace be with you, dear friend, as you settle into this quiet evening hour. Take a deep breath and let the concerns of your day begin to fade like mist in the morning sun. Tonight, we journey together into an ancient story, one that may be less familiar than the tales of mighty Samson or brave Gideon, yet carries its own profound wisdom for the seeking heart. We find ourselves in the pages of the book of Judges, in that mysterious time between the conquest of the Promised Land and the establishment of Israel's monarchy. The great judge Samson has fallen. His story has ended in both tragedy and triumph, and now the narrative shifts. No longer do we hear of heroic deliverers rising to save Israel from her enemies. Instead, the sacred text takes us down a different path, a quieter, more troubling road that reveals not the strength of Israel, but her spiritual confusion. After Samson's death, there is a shift in tone. The stories that follow are not about mighty warriors or dramatic victories. They are windows into the soul of a nation that has lost its way. These are stories showing how spiritually lost Israel had become, wandering not through a physical wilderness as their ancestors once did, but through a wilderness of the spirit, where everyone did what was right in their own eyes. Tonight's story is about a man named Micah, a Levite in the tribe of Dan. It is a story about searching for God in all the wrong places, about good intentions twisted by spiritual blindness, and about the human heart's endless capacity for self-deception. But more than that, it is a mirror held up to our own souls, inviting us to consider where we seek God and how easily we might substitute our own ideas for His truth. So breathe deeply, let your body sink into rest, and listen with the ears of your heart to this ancient tale. Micah's silver. In the hill country of Ephraim, there lived a man named Micah. His name meant, "Who is like Yahweh?" A question that echoes through his entire story with unintended irony. Micah lived in a time when there was no king in Israel, and every man did what was right in his own eyes. The very air seemed thick with uncertainty, with the absence of clear direction, with spiritual wandering. One day, Micah approached his mother with a heavy heart and a confession upon his lips. "Mother," he said, "do you remember the 1,100 shekels of silver that were taken from you? The silver over which you uttered a curse, speaking it aloud in my hearing?" His mother's face must have tightened at the memory. 1,100 shekels was no small sum. It was a fortune, wealth that represented years of labor and saving. And yes, she remembered. She remembered the anger and the curse she had pronounced upon the thief, whoever he might be. "Yes, my son," she replied, her voice carrying the weight of that remembered loss. "I remember well." Micah took a breath. "The silver is with me," he said. "I took it." But then his mother spoke. "Blessed be you by the Lord, my son," she cried. "I consecrate this silver to the Lord," she declared, "from my hand for my son, to make a carved image and a metal idol. Therefore I will restore it to you." This was the spiritual confusion of the age. Good intentions, religious language, and sincere devotion, all flowing in directions that contradicted the very nature of the God they claimed to worship. They knew the name of the Lord, but they had forgotten his ways. Micah took back the silver, but his mother retained 200 shekels and gave them to a silversmith. The craftsman's tools rang out as he shaped and molded, as he carved and cast, creating images forbidden by the very God they sought to honor. And when the work was done, these images were placed in Micah's house. But Micah did not stop there. He made an ephod, that special garment associated with the priesthood, with seeking God's will, though he had no authority to do so. He made household gods, small idols called teraphim, and he consecrated one of his sons to be his priest. The text reminds us, in those days there was no king in Israel. Everyone did what was right in his own eyes. The wandering Levite. Now the scene shifts and we meet another character in this story, a young Levite from Bethlehem in Judah. The Levites, you may remember, were the tribe set apart for service to God. They had no inheritance of land like the other tribes. The Lord himself was to be their inheritance. They were to serve in the tabernacle, to teach God's law, to be spiritual guides for the people. But this young Levite was not serving at the tabernacle in Shiloh, where the Ark of the Covenant rested. No, he was sojourning in Bethlehem, and now he set out to find a place where he might live, wherever he might find one. He was wandering, seeking his fortune, looking for employment rather than answering the calling of his heritage. His journey brought him to the hill country of Ephraim, to the house of Micah. Perhaps he stopped there seeking hospitality, as travelers did in those days. Perhaps word had gone out that Micah was looking for a priest. However it happened, Micah and the Levite met, and Micah saw an opportunity. "Where do you come from?" Micah asked. "I am a Levite of Bethlehem in Judah," the young man replied, "and I'm going to find a place to live wherever I can." "Stay with me," Micah said, "and be to me a father and a priest, and I will give you 10 pieces of silver a year, a suit of clothes, and your living." The Levite agreed. Perhaps he was weary of wandering. Perhaps the offer seemed generous. Perhaps he convinced himself that he would be serving God after all. The text tells us that the Levite was content to dwell with the man, and the young man became to him like one of his sons. And then Micah spoke words that reveal the entire depth of his spiritual confusion. "Now I know that the Lord will prosper me, because I have a Levite as my priest." And so Micah's house became a shrine with its carved image, its metal idol, its ephod, its household gods, and now its official priest. All the pieces were in place, all the forms were observed, and yet, how empty it all was. The Danite spies. Time passed in Micah's household, days blending into weeks and months. The carved images stood silent. The Levite performed whatever rituals Micah required. And then one day, 5 men came to the region, warriors of the tribe of Dan, sent out as spies to scout the land. The tribe of Dan had a problem. The territory allotted to them at the time of the conquest had never been fully possessed. The Amorites had pressed them back into the hills, so the Danites were searching for a new place to settle, somewhere they might claim for themselves. These 5 men were their scouts, exploring northward, far from their tribal lands. When they came to the hill country of Ephraim, They stopped at Micah's house. Perhaps they needed lodging. Perhaps they had heard of the shrine and wanted to consult the priest. But when they heard the Levite speak, they recognized his accent, his way of speech. "Who brought you here?" they asked him. "What are you doing in this place? What is your business here?" The Levite explained his arrangement with Micah, how he had been hired to be priest, how he had found a position and security, and then the Danites made a request that to them must have seemed perfectly reasonable. "Inquire of God for us," they said, "that we may know whether the journey on which we are setting out will succeed." And the Levite, this hired priest tending a shrine of mixed worship, gave them an answer. "Go in peace. The journey on which you go is under the eye of the Lord." The 5 spies continued on their way northward, and they came to a place called Laish, far in the north near Sidon. And what they found there delighted them. They found a people living securely, quiet, and unsuspecting in the manner of the Sidonians. The people had no dealings with anyone else. They were isolated, vulnerable, and wealthy. The land was spacious and fertile, lacking nothing. The spies returned to their brothers in Zorah and Eshtaol with glowing reports. "Arise," they said. "Let us go up against them, for we have seen the land, and behold, it is very good. Do not be slow to go, to enter in and possess the land. When you go, you will come to an unsuspecting people, and the land is spacious, for God has given it into your hands, a place where there is no lack of anything that is in the earth." The theft. 600 armed men of the tribe of Dan set out, leaving their families behind in Zorah and Eshtaol. They marched northward, a formidable company, warriors seeking a new homeland, and their route took them past the hill country of Ephraim, past the house of Micah. The 5 spies who had been there before recognized the place. They knew what was inside that house: the ephod, the household gods, the carved image, the metal idol, and an idea formed in their minds. They said to their brothers, "Do you know that in these houses there are an ephod, household gods, a carved image, and a metal idol? Now therefore consider what you will do." The implication was clear. Why not take these religious objects? Why not take this priest? If we are starting a new settlement, we will need sacred objects and someone to minister for us. And these are available right here. So the 5 men turned aside to Micah's house and greeted the young Levite, while the 600 armed men stood by the entrance of the gate. Then the 5 spies went into the house and took the carved image, the ephod, the household gods, and the metal idol. The Levite saw what they were doing. "What are you doing?" he demanded. But the Danites had an offer for him. "Keep quiet," they said. "Put your hand on your mouth, come with us, and be to us a father and a priest. Is it better for you to be priest to the house of one man, or to be priest to a tribe and clan in Israel?" And the text tells us, the priest's heart was glad. He took the ephod, the household gods, and the carved image, and he went along with the people. His heart was glad. He was content to abandon the man who had hired him, the man who had taken him in when he was wandering. He was content to participate in theft, not to be complicit in taking sacred objects, however misguided those objects were, from their owner. Because the offer was better, the opportunity was greater. The Danites turned and departed, putting the little ones, the livestock, and the goods in front of them as they traveled, protecting their vulnerable from any pursuit that might come. Micah's pursuit. When the Danites had gone some distance from Micah's house, the men who lived in the houses near Micah were called together, and they overtook the Danites. Micah himself was among them, calling out to the 600 armed warriors. The Danites turned and said to Micah, "What is the matter with you, that you come with such a company?" And Micah's answer reveals the depth of his loss and his misunderstanding. "You take my gods that I made," he cried, "and the priest, and go away, and what have I left? How then do you ask me, what is the matter with you?" The Danites replied to him with the cruelty of the strong, "Do not let your voice be heard among us, lest angry fellows fall upon you, and you lose your life with the lives of your household." It was a naked threat. "We are 600 armed men. You are a handful of neighbors. Do not make us angry, or we will kill you and your family. Might makes right. We are stronger, so we take what we want." And Micah, seeing that they were too strong for him, turned and went back to his house. What else could he do? He was powerless to recover what had been taken. His gods could not save him. His priest had abandoned him. He went home empty-handed, bereft of the religious objects in which he had placed his trust. The conquest of Laish. The Danites went their way, and they came to Laish, to that peaceful, unsuspecting people living in security. And the text tells us plainly what happened. They struck them with the edge of the sword and burned the city with fire. And there was no deliverer, because it was far from Sidon, and they had no dealings with anyone. The people of Laish had no chance. They were quiet and trusting. They had no alliance to call upon, no army to defend them. The Danites descended upon them with swords and fire, and the people perished. Then the Danites rebuilt the city and settled in it, naming it Dan after their ancestor, though the name of the city had formerly been Laish. And there, in their new home, they set up for themselves the carved image. The text tells us the names now. Jonathan, the son of Gershom, son of Moses, yes, a descendant of Moses himself, he and his sons were priests to the tribe of Dan until the day of the captivity of the land. So Micah's carved image, made from stolen silver, consecrated to the Lord, but fashioned in direct violation of his commands, became the centerpiece of Dan's worship. And it remained there all the time that the house of God was at Shiloh. Think of the contrast. At Shiloh stood the tabernacle, the dwelling place God himself had ordained, where the Ark of the Covenant rested between the cherubim, where priests of the line of Aaron ministered according to the law given at Sinai. There was the true center of worship, the place where God had chosen to put his name. But in Dan, far to the north, stood a carved image born of theft and confusion, tended by a priest descended from Moses, who had sold his services to the highest bidder. Two centers of worship, one ordained by God, one invented by man. And the tribe of Dan worshipped at their shrine, generation after generation, until judgment finally came, until the day of captivity, when foreign armies would sweep through the land and everything would be taken away. And so the story ends, dear friend, not with trumpets or victory songs, but with a quiet, settling conclusion. The carved image remains in Dan. The stolen objects become sacred relics. The ambitious Levite finds his tribe to serve, and Micah returns to his empty house, his gods gone, his priest departed, his silver turned to an idol, worshiping in a distant city. In those days there was no king in Israel. Everyone did what was right in his own eyes. The book of Judges ends as it began this final section, with this haunting refrain. No king, no clear authority, no unified direction, just individuals and tribes, each following their own understanding, each creating their own version of faith. What are we to make of this strange, uncomfortable story? Why does Scripture preserve for us this tale of confusion and compromise, of theft and violence, of good intentions leading to idolatry? Perhaps it is because this story is, in its own way, timeless. The details change, but the pattern remains. We still face the temptation to create God in our own image, rather than conforming ourselves to His. We still want religion on our terms, convenient, comfortable, affirming of our choices. We still seek priests and teachers who will tell us what we want to hear, who will assure us that our journey is under the eye of the Lord, even when we are walking paths He never ordained. Micah's mother consecrated her silver to the Lord and immediately used it to make an idol. How often do we do the same? How often do we speak God's name while pursuing our own will? How often do we clothe our desires in religious language, seeking divine validation for choices we have already made? The Levite was content to serve for pay, to be a priest wherever the opportunity was best. He had the right credentials, the right tribal heritage, but he lacked the one thing that mattered: a heart devoted to serving God rather than himself. And we too can have all the outward markers of faith while missing its substance. We can know the right words, participate in the right practices, and still be spiritually lost because our hearts are not truly surrendered. The Danites wanted God's blessing on their conquest. They wanted assurance that their plans would succeed, and they found a priest willing to give them that assurance, regardless of whether it came from God. How often do we seek confirmation rather than correction? How often do we want God to bless our plans rather than asking what His plans might be? But here's the grace hidden in this dark story. It is told to us as a warning, not as a pattern. The book of Judges shows us the chaos that results when everyone does what is right in their own eyes, precisely so that we might choose a different path. It reveals the emptiness of self-made religion, so that we might seek true relationship with the living God. The story points forward, you see. It shows us why Israel needed a king, not Saul, who would fail, not even David, who despite his great heart would also stumble, but the true king, the one who would come much later, the one whom David himself called Lord, the one who would not need to ask who is like Yahweh, because he would be Yahweh in human flesh, the one who would be both the true temple and the true priest. the one who would fulfill all the forms and shadows that Micah and the Levite and the Danites were fumbling after in their confusion. The carved image in Dan stood as a corruption of worship, but it pointed, however dimly, toward humanity's deep need for God to make himself visible, knowable, present. And that need was ultimately met, not in wood and metal shaped by human hands, but in the Word made flesh, dwelling among us. As you drift toward sleep tonight, consider this. Where in your own life might you be doing what is right in your own eyes? Where might you be creating God in your image rather than being remade in His? What altars have you built to idols you can control, rather than surrendering to the God who is beyond your control? These are not comfortable questions, but they are the questions this ancient story invites us to ask. And yet, there is comfort here too. For if this story shows us anything, it shows us that God is patient with His wayward people. The book continues beyond this story. The history of Israel continues. Even in their darkest wanderings, God did not abandon them. He continued working slowly, patiently, drawing them toward truth, preparing for the day when He Himself would come to seek and save the lost. You are seeing, dear friend, in your wandering, in your confusion, in your attempts to fashion faith according to your own understanding, you are seeing by the God who sees. And He is not a God who can be stolen away or who abandons you when better opportunities arise. He is faithful when we are faithless. He remains true when we stumble after false gods. The story of Micah asks, who is like Yahweh? And the answer that echoes through all of Scripture is this: no one. No carved image, no human system, no religious structure of our own making. There is none like Him in His holiness, His mercy, His patient love for His wandering children. Rest now in that truth. Let go of the idols you may have been clutching, the need for control, the desire for God to fit your expectations, the false assurance of manufactured certainty. Rest in the God who is real, who is present, who cannot be stolen or bargained with or controlled. The story ends in darkness, yes, but you know how the larger story continues. You know that light came into the darkness. You know that what was broken was redeemed. You know that the faithful King did come, and He reigns still. So sleep in peace, dear friend. The God who cannot be contained in carved images watches over you tonight. Not because you have hired the right priest or performed the right rituals, but because He is faithful to His nature, constant in His love. Rest now, be still, and know that He is God. Let these ancient words settle into your heart as sleep comes gently upon you. May your rest be deep, and may you wake renewed in the morning light.